Rafa Nadal is out for 4 to 6 weeks. The Raw fans may have thought it was bad the way things went down in the final of Indian Wells last Sunday, but now this is much worse as Rafa Nadal is going to miss at least Monte Carlo, most likely Monte Carlo and Barcelona, and possibly more tournaments on his beloved clay. Of course, on Sunday, Taylor Fritzy boy became a man. Taylor Fritz is a Masters 1000 champion, and I believe the first American to win the big, some have called it the 5th biggest tournament in the world. First to do it since 2001, Andre Agassi, first American, that is. Ash Barty has retired. We don't talk about women's tennis here a lot, but we'll get into that today. Miami Meds is down in Miami without the mustache this time, like last year, but he does have a chance to take the world #1 ranking right back from Djokovic. Talk about how he can do that. We'll look at the Miami draw. And of course, Mr. GOAT had a life-altering surgery, a life-saving surgery, I should say. All that and more on today's edition of Coffee Break Tennis. Welcome to the Coffee Break Tennis Podcast. Happy to be here today. We've got a lot. We're fully loaded, so let's dive right into the big news. This is the biggest news to me and most tennis fans around the world. Rafa Nadal out 4 to 6 weeks, but here from the Daily Express, Yasmin Saeed is the writer on this one. Rafa Nadal's doctor explains injury plan with key aim to speed up that return. Please do, says the Raw fans. Let's get him on clay. Rafa Nadal has been sidelined by a stress fracture in one of his ribs. The article begins, Rafa Nadal's doctor has spoken out after the Spaniard confirmed he would be sidelined for 4 to 6 weeks with a rib injury. The world #3 picked up an injury during his Indian Wells. Okay, we know. We remember. It was hard to watch that. Happy for Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz was outstanding, but it was tough to see Rafa Nadal go through that. I think most Joker and Federer fans, at least those of us with honor, felt pretty bad, felt for Rafa Nadal during that match. And a pretty amazing match to see someone who is, not able to move like normal, not able to hit his normal shots, and still throwing everything he has. Rafa was only a couple points away from winning that second set in a tiebreak. I actually enjoyed watching this match, just seeing what a warrior Rafa Nadal is. If he does go down in history as the greatest of all time, this match shows you why. This guy, he never gives up no matter what. And like I said, he almost was able to pull it off. We will give some credit to Taylor Fritz, though. He was playing well enough to win, of course. You only got to play a little better than the guy across the other side of the net on the given day. Taylor Fritz, not at his very best, obviously. Had some nervy-looking moments in that match, which is, pretty normal. There was a moment early in the second set where I think it was right after the first game. They were about to switch sides. And Taylor Fritz was kind of staring at Rafa, waiting to see him extend the hand and retire from the match. Of course, Rafa didn't do that. He fought to the death. Anyways, back to the article. After returning to Spain, the world #3 confirmed he had cracked one of his ribs during the tournament and would be out of competition 4 to 6 weeks. Injury layoff means he will not be able to start the clay court season, most successful surface, obviously, with recovery time including the Monte Carlo Masters and Barcelona, where Nadal is 11 and 12-time champion, respectively. But Nadal's doctor has now outlined the plan for the road to recovery and admitted there could be hope for a shorter time. So maybe shorter than 4 weeks. We hope. Even then, you got to realize, though, Rafa's not going to be able to practice during this time, most likely. Anyway, speaking to Radio... I don't know what that says. Speaking to something, Dr. Angel Ruiz Cotoro said, we're going to adapt the work and function of the pain. For now, priority is to remove the pain. Once the pain's removed, we'll be working as much as we can. The doctor had diagnosed the world #3 with a stress crack in the third left costal arch. If those of you tennis fans out there who are doctors probably know all about that stuff, huh? Then he said, it occurred in the semifinal match, blah, blah, blah. He said they would have to look to reduce Nadal's time. Okay, you get the general gist of it. So this is what we saw in the match right here. A lot of shots of Rafa down on the ground getting worked on. Here's another angle along with the trainer's buttocks in the shot. And then here's the close-up on Rafa's face. This was a painful match, not just for the fans, but obviously most painful for Rafa, who had to live through it and put up a very admirable fight. You can see, taking a look here, trophy ceremony. This looked like a tougher loss for Rafa to accept, and I've got some clips for you of what Rafa had to say after the match. We'll get to that in a little bit. Of course, the streak is over. Here's something from the ATP WTA memes Instagram account. It's a good meme. When we're talking about streaks, let's take a look at the top. Sampras, Djokovic, Federer have all gone 17-0. Federer, pretty recent, 2018 did that. Rafa Nadal, 20-0 right here. But we got to hand it to Djokovic, 26-0, and that was cut off because of COVID, if you'll remember. That could have kept going a lot longer. And then, of course, 2011, one of the best seasons in all of tennis history. Novak Djokovic, 41-0. I do believe the end of that streak, of course, came from Roger Federer at the French Open when Roger did the notorious finger wag. I'm pretty sure that's it. Comment below if I'm incorrect. We make no unforced errors on this show, but I don't know, maybe I made one right there. Don't think so. Get a pretty good feeling about that. This was something I saw, and unfortunately, I have to make one more. I'm going to add one. Take a look at this from the Sports Skeeter. Many similarities between the first 3 months of the seasons, which Federer had in 2017 and Rafa has now had in 2022. Of course, both 35 years old. Federer was at the time in 2017, 5 years ago. He's 40 now. They both win the Australian Open. They both win 20 out of the first 21 matches they played. And they both win 3 titles out of the first 4 events that they played in. And then there's one other that I very, very much hope for the Raw fans does not come true, but both skipped the clay season in its entirety. Now, it looks like Rafa's going to make it back. Definitely time for the French Open. We'll probably see him in Madrid and Rome. But, who knows what kind of shape Rafa's going to be in. How long is he not able to exercise or work out? I'm sure he's going to be doing something, but how much are they going to hold Rafa back and not let him just, keep his body in shape? Forget about being on the tennis court, but you got to do a lot of exercising to keep that body, tuned up like that to go out there and do battle the way that Rafa does. So we'll be keeping our eye on that one, and it really hurts the tour, seeing Djokovic come back on clay and him and Rafa clash. Very much looking forward to that. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with that now. Okay. Moving on, let's go to the pressers, actually. Let's get through, let's talk about when Rafa first talked. They asked him right after the match, Rafa, what happened out there? Play it.
Rafa, do you know what the issue is with the chest?
Do you know what the issue is, Rafa?
Something entirely
they
new
say.
to you?
No, I don't know. Honestly, no. It happened yesterday night. Just at the end of the match last night, so I finishing that late yesterday and playing today in the morning. As you can imagine, I didn't had the chance to do many things, and not even a chance to check what's going on there. So, but that's it. The only thing that I can say is tough to breathe. For me, I don't know. I feel very, very. When I try to breathe, it's painful and it's very uncomfortable. But that's it. No. It's not the moment to talk about that, honestly, no. Even if it's obvious that I was not able to do the normal things today.
Las cosas, the things. He wasn't able to do the things. You got to love, Rafa always says that, but then if you listen long enough in the presser, he'll give us more details. But he says, right now is not the moment to make excuses, basically, about the injury. And let's give the glory to Taylor Fritz, which he does. Gives plenty of the glory to Taylor Fritzy boy, now a man. Once a boy, now a man, Taylor Fritz. But they press him, of course, so it's not all Rafa's fault. He does have to get right back into it. A scary thing when you hear a tennis player is having a hard time breathing. Rafa describes it in more detail, saying that when you're having a hard time breathing and you're running all over a tennis court playing mostly defense, it was kind of interesting to watch how Rafa played that match. Given with, he didn't have the full arsenal available. So he had to kind of do a little bit of everything and a lot of defensive points, kind of tugging Fritz around, just waiting to see if Fritz would get a little nervous and make some mistakes, which he definitely did in some tight moments. Using the slice backhand pretty effectively. And one thing I loved, it must have hurt Rafa, but when he had a short ball, he put everything he had into getting, fast movement, get up there quickly and finish the point. So you knew, like, when Rafa saw a chance to finish, he went at it like normal, even though it probably, physically cost him, probably hurt pretty bad in the moment.
At the end of the match on the bench, and your head was down.
There's the picture of Rafa with the head
What was in
down.
your mind at that stage? What were you thinking at that point?
No, I had pain, honestly. It's tough to, as I said, I have problems to breathe because I don't know if it's something on the rib. I am not sure yet, but when I am breathing and when I am moving, it's like
Rafa jabs himself
like
here.
a needle all the time.
That's
inside
pointing
here,
where the needle was.
And I get dizzy a little bit, because it's painful, and it's a kind of pain that is limit me a lot, and it's not only about pain. It's about I don't feel very well because it affects to my breath.
Yeah, it limited all of us, Rafa, watching that. We feel for you, buddy. Rafa, sharp pain, like a needle, limits me, and makes it hard to breathe. And then you get dizzy when you're not breathing very well out on the court. Let's listen to this one. I found it very touching here. Rafa saying, what kind of expectations he had for his run. They asked him, well, basically the question was along the lines of, are you still happy you won the Aussie, you won everything else, right, Rafa? Still, it's a great year, even though you lost today, right? Right, Rafa? It's okay, isn't it? Say it's okay, Rafa. Please say it's okay for all of us.
Well, honestly, I wanted to make it perfect before Clay. No, I've been very, very, very beautiful. Now, I honestly am sad because the way that I was not able to compete, and it's tough to have these feelings especially every day. But in a final, it's very, very ugly. Because but yeah, have been but in a sport, it's not about talking of the past. We need to talk about today, and today is a difficult day for me.
Yeah, I love that. Rafa Nadal basically saying he wanted to make it perfect. This wasn't good enough for him. This was very, very difficult for him to show up and not be at 100% in this match, this very big match. And he wanted to take that perfect record, just like most of us tennis fans wanted to see him bring that perfect record into the clay. And now, at the time, he had no idea. This must be very devastating for Rafa right now. Anyways, let's go to Taylor Fritz, though. Credit to Taylor Fritz, once a boy, now a man. Let's take a listen to what he had to say. Do remember, originally, he was the one who was hurt. Take a look.
Those childhood dreams, like winning this tournament, especially Indian Wells, this is one of those childhood dreams that you just never even think could come true. So I just can't even. I just keep saying no,
He is crying,
no way, it's real.
And you've done it on half a leg too. I mean, Rafa wasn't quite right, but you were hobbling around this morning. How tight was that decision, and also how did it affect the way you played?
It was just, I can't even begin to describe how ridiculous it is that I was able to play how I could play today. I've never experienced worse pain in my life before a match. I came out here. If I knew it was going to be bad, I wouldn't have come out here because I think people saw it. I took a couple change of direction steps and screamed. It was and I was trying to honestly, I was trying to act tough because I had cameras on me. It probably looked like I was over-exaggerating the pain with how loud I screamed when I felt it, but we did a lot of work leading up to the match, and I went through a roller coaster of emotions before the match, from thinking just there's no way I could possibly play to then doing all this work on the ankle, doing so much stuff to it, and then going out again, hitting on one of the back courts, all of a sudden being really happy, thinking, oh my God, maybe I can play, and then came out here and really it didn't affect me at all on the court. So.
And then finally they ask Fritzy boy, once a boy now a man, they ask him, well, what does it mean doing it against Rafa? Of course, this isn't a normal Rafa. I think all tennis fans, comment below if you disagree. If Rafa was at not even 100%, just wherever he was before this injury, because we already know he was dealing with some other stuff too. If Rafa was just where he was before in the quarterfinals, semifinal stages, I guess this did happen at the end of the Alcaraz. But let's say if Rafa was where he was at the beginning of the Alcaraz match, the beginning of that semifinal, he would have won. We all think that. We still can give a lot of credit to Taylor Fritz, but let's listen to what Fritz says when asked what does it mean to him after beating Rafa.
I've lost these matches against the big guys my whole life. It's always felt like they're just unbeatable. So to do it on the biggest stage, there's no other way, to win a big title. I feel like you gotta beat the best, and he's unbeaten this year. And obviously, I hope he's okay. Obviously, there's some stuff going on. I can't imagine how the body's feeling after 20-something matches, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, of course, it is great, but good on Fritz for admitting that Rafa's obviously not 100%. And I love how you got to realize it's not just Fritz, it's multiple generations, guys older than Fritz, guys younger than Fritz, who have been held back in their professional careers by this incredible group, the Big Three. My whole life, I thought that was amazing to hear him say that. I've been losing these big matches my whole life. These guys, obviously, most of them have a win or two here and there against the Big Three in different places. But when it comes to the biggest places, the big matches, none of them have wins, especially at the majors, right? Anyways, moving on from there, it's a tough one to swallow for the tennis fans, but there is, at least we got Alcaraz playing in Miami. We got Medvedev in there. We're going to see how the next gen Big Four guys are going to bounce back. So we do have another Masters 1000. There is no Big Three there. I still think it's going to be interesting to watch. And Alcaraz in a nice little spot in that draw. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Real quick, Ash Barty has retired. I don't have a whole lot to say about this except I don't think it's too surprising because I want to remind a lot of tennis fans out there. Remember, she did take a break, a long break away. I can't remember, a year, maybe, was it 2 years? It seemed like a long time. But she was away from the game for a long time to play like women's rugby or something like that. I'm not saying that Ash Barty doesn't love tennis, but to keep battling, look at what Rafa's going through right now. Forget Rafa, look at Roger. He's been out for like 2 years, for the most part. Obviously, he came back for Wimbledon last year and some clay. But look at what Roger's fighting through to try to get back and do this again. And, life on the road, especially after going through COVID in Australia, living in Australia, as Ash Barty has done during the whole COVID thing. It's a lot of work, staying in shape, coming back from injuries. So not too surprising after she's kind of done all of her big goals. She's married. Maybe she wants to get pregnant and have a kid. She didn't say that, but maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe she just wants, Anna Ivanovic pops in my head. I'm trying to think how old she was when she retired. A lot of these, Justine Henin retired very early. A lot of these top female players, they want to go and start a family. Some of them do it and come back. Maybe that's not something Ash Barty ever wanted to do. I don't know if she loves the game like Roger and Rafa. Obviously not. But congrats to her. She's had a great career. It's kind of a shock. I've seen some articles out there saying this is some kind of mental health thing. I haven't seen anything relating to her actually quoting her on that, saying that she's retiring because of mental health. But, congrats to her on a great career, and we hope Ash Barty has a very nice life. Have a nice life, ma'am. Anyways, moving on from there. I got to say, I will miss Ash Barty, actually. It was cool to watch Ash Barty with that. Just that slice backhand, the way that she could kind of terrorize the other ladies on the tour, because not a lot of women on tour can knife a slice like Ash Barty. So congrats to Ash Barty. Anyways, where do we go from there? Oh, I think you know where we go. Mr. Goat, put it back on the screen. I don't have the picture of the X-ray, but Mr. Goat, as some of you may know, is kind of a glutton, a food hog, a monster in the kitchen, roaming the kitchen countertops, stealing food from top of the stove, off your plate. Tried to take, one time I was eating and Mr. Goat climbed on my shoulder and got his face close to my mouth like he's a baby bird. I'm the mother bird. And he's going to try to eat the food right out of my mouth as I'm chewing it. Mr. Goat can be a real monster. Maybe that's why he loves Novak Djokovic so much. For the aggression. I'm not saying Djokovic is a monster. Anyways, Mr. Goat, some of you might have a giant crock pot like I do, a slow cooker, and it has a little rubber gasket in the top of the glass lid. And after cooking, food was out of it. I closed it. It still smells like food. Mr. Goat ate the rubber gasket. I didn't know that. No one knew that here in the household. We suspected maybe that was possible, but we also thought maybe he just pulled it out, chewed on it, and realized this isn't food, and he lost it somewhere in the house. And some weeks went by, and we noticed Mr. Goat not doing as well. And Mr. Goat had an x-ray, and of course that thing was lodged in his intestine. It was in his intestine so long, the intestine trying to push it out, that it started tearing little holes in his intestine. And the vet told us if we'd waited any longer when we took him in to have this surgery, very expensive surgery, by the way. So big thank you to the patron saints from me and Mr. Goat now, who had to have a very expensive surgery and all kinds of stuff done to him, not counting the x-rays and all that before the expensive surgery. Anyways, Mr. Goat, they told us he wouldn't have made it if we hadn't got him in when we did. He wouldn't have made it another week. So luckily, it was a 50-50 shot with the surgery, and the 50% to the good prevailed. Mr. Goat is going to make it. He's going to continue being a talking tennis cat. We're going to see him on the show soon. But I'll show you some pictures since we're on the podcast today and don't have any video. Mr. Goat is back to thriving, doing things he enjoys, like playing video games here. Mr. Goat got a Nintendo Switch when he was recovering from surgery. Had to get him something nice. Mr. Goat is lounging in the goat boat, as he likes to do. You can see on this shot that that's where he had his IV in. They had to shave his arm. He's mostly grown his hair back. And he's back to stealing my yogurt mat, when I want to get down there and stretch from all the tennis I do that hurts my body, like the big three can tell you about it all about it. Yeah, there you go. Mr. Goat, he's back at it, and he's going to be here for the long haul. That was what was going on here in my household during the week of Dubai and Acapulco, hence having no shows. But we're out of the woods. Mr. Goat is definitely going to make it now, it looks like. Fingers crossed, knock on the wooden Coffee Break Tennis Studios desk that all holds up. What else do we got? Let's talk about Miami Med, and then we'll look at the draw for a second. Djokovic, 8,465 points, 55 points ahead of Meds at 84.10. And Djokovic will drop his 2019 Miami points, only 45. Not a lot. I was there. That was when he lost to Roberto Bautista Agut. Me and Mother were there. Great time. Glad we were there for that. Not going this year. Would have loved to. Hopefully I'll be there next year with my mother too, hopefully. Anyways, Medvedev will drop his points if he can make the semifinals. Let's go to the draw. That'll be the last thing we do on today's show. If he can make the semifinals, he will be number one in the world again. All right, so there you see Danny Medvedev, Masters 1000 Miami, one of my favorite tournaments in the whole world, especially when it was on Key Biscayne, Tennis Island. But it's still very cool. Like I said, I was there in 2019 for the first year at where the Miami Dolphins play. Used to be called Joe Robbie Stadium when I lived in South Florida when I was younger, when I was a kid. Anyways, what is it called now? Hard Rock Stadium, something like that. Still kind of similar. Anyways, Medvedev, he's going to get a draw, and then he's going to play a bye, and then he's going to play Delbonis or Andy Murray. Andy Murray will be there with Yvonne Lindell. Tough draw for Andy Murray. Let's hope all that money he forked over for Yvonne Lindell. Let's hope that works out for him, and he can beat Medvedev. I know the Djokovic fans are hoping for that. Do him a solid, Andy. Jan-Lennard Struff is in there. Pedro Martinez, who I think just won a tournament recently, a smaller tournament. Basilashvili, the big ball bashers in that section. Roberto Bautista Agut, Jensen Brooksby, who's been interesting to watch. Could those guys stop him? I don't know. This is the top half of the draw, so Meds is trying to get to the end of this sheet of paper, as you can see over here where my mouse cursor is going. And the top seed here that could stop him in the quarterfinals is Hubie Hurkacz, the defending champion, of course. I don't see Hubie Hurkacz beating Medvedev. But, stranger things have happened. Shapo is in there. El Chapo. Karatsev is in there. Arthur Rinderknecht is a pretty good young player. He's on the other opposite side of this section here, though. Maybe he could take out, wouldn't shock me, Hubie Hurkacz. We'll see what happens there. Who would be in that semifinal waiting? At that point, he would be number one in the world again. But who would he play? Could be Tsitsipas. Joe Wilfried Songa is in there on a protected ranking. J.J. Wolf, the Wolfmeister from Cincinnati, is hanging out in there. The Demon, Cilic, Alcaraz. This is who we'd really like to see. He'd be playing Fucsovics or Marcus Giron. Probably Fucsovics, although he's in a rough patch right now. Musetti's in there, Popperin. Alcaraz, I like him coming through here and playing Tsitsipas. We'd love to see that rematch from the U.S. Open. Taylor Fritz right below that, who his top seed is Felix Auger-Aliassime. Kachanov, Ramos Vinolas, the other seed in there. Jack Sock, maybe an early challenger if he can get past Kecmanovic, who obviously just had a great run at Indian Wells. Jack Sock, watch out for him. Maybe he could be a little dangerous. He's had some good runs in Miami before. Alcaraz, who could take him down here? Obviously, Tsitsipas, I think we're going to see that. I think there's a good chance we see Alcaraz and Tsitsipas. Would be nice to see. And hopefully we'll get Felix and Fritz. I'd love to see, even though I'm so sad for Nadal, I enjoyed seeing Taylor Fritz win. I think I did, what was it, during the Australian Open maybe, we did a Beer Hall Fry Tag. I answered tons of questions. And one question was, who's your favorite of the young Americans? And Taylor Fritz was mine. I think he has the sweetest strokes, and I didn't expect him to do as well as he has done, but here he is. He's doing it. I mean, I didn't... It's not like I never thought he could do it, but who saw it coming this year where Taylor Fritz really steps up? So hopefully we'll see him go up against some of the other big names in his section. I've got, though, Medvedev's done well in Miami in the past. I've got Medvedev making it through here and getting to that semifinal. And it's hard not to go with the hot hand. I'm going to go with Alcaraz showing up in another semifinal and taking down Tsitsipas. Although this would be a great time for Tsitsipas to strike back. Bottom half of the draw. Sasha Zverev at the very, very bottom. Hit the music. We're going to get out of here after this. Fernando Verdasco is possibly his, or Borna Coric. A couple of faces we haven't seen in big matches in a while. So one of those guys will be the first round for Sasha Zverev. Grigor Dimitrov just had a nice little run in Indian Wells. Will be the next round. Most likely could be Mackie McDonald. Dominic Kepfer's in there too. Schwarty D is the first big seed that Zverev could face. Sonego in there too. Tanazi Kokkinakis, who's been good in doubles, to play Richard Gasquet. That's a good one for Kokkinakis, who's had a hard time getting it going in singles since he had a hot start back in Australia. Not the Australian Open, he lost first round there, but wherever he was, Adelaide, something like that. Before that, won ATP 250. Anyways, above that, quarterfinal opponent for Sasha Zverev, looking like it could be Casper Ruud, John Isner, Scam Norrie, or Sasha Bublik, who did say after he lost against Grigor Dimitrov in Indian Wells, he said, this court is ridiculous. It's like clay. I didn't know we were going to be playing on clay, man. It's the first thing he said at the handshake. Above that, Rublev's section. Oh, so sad for Rublev. Things really didn't work out. Losing to Taylor Fritz, that must have hurt. Now he's probably going to play Nick Kyrgios. And if it's not Nick Kyrgios in the first match for Rublev, it's going to be another guy that no one likes to play, Adrian Manarino. Very awkward playing both of those guys for very different reasons. Fabio Fognini is in there as his first big seed. Busta, Sinner. Sinner's got a lot of points to defend here. Sinner could have he took out Roots. It's funny. He could play Roots Savory first, who's a nice young player to watch. I like him a lot. Sinner beat him in Miami last year, but I think there's a good chance he plays Maximus Cresius, who's a tough round. This could be bad for Sinner. That's a tough one to play against first. We saw Rafa, his first tournament he won of the year. The final was against Maximus Cresius, and that was a tricky match. Below that, Opelka, TFO, Monfils, and Berrettini are our seeds. I wouldn't be surprised to see Opelka come through here again. Hopefully we get Monfils, though. Want to see Monfils have a good result here. I've enjoyed watching Monfils this year, and kind of hurt to see a young guy take Monfils out like he was old news. Anyways, we will be back. Don't know exactly when, but when things get heated up, when we got a big match coming up, probably in a couple days, we'll be right back. Right now, we're seeing unseeded players and wild cards and qualifiers right now. But by the time we get the second round rolling, we will be back to talk about all of our great tennis friends at the Miami Masters. See ya!